in order to sum up how, in order, I think the popcorn bucket is kind of a visual personification of how this movie turned out. How's it going, guys? My name is Kevin. Thank you guys so much for tuning in into my channel. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe on today's video. And with that being said, let's move on to today's topic. So I just finished watching Supergirl. This is a film directed by Craig Gillespie, and all I can say is wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is definitely not the time in to be releasing flops this early. I mean, 9 times out of 10, when you're building a cinematic universe, you expect at least one misfire. But when it's James Gunn trying to create a fresh DC universe and build a brand new audience, this is exactly the time you don't want a bad film. Especially considering how, generally speaking, Superman was well received. It's kind of surprising that we're not getting a film that is either to that level, if not better. And it's also really unfortunate because as we were gearing up to this film was put on the fast track to being produced. And we all would have thought the same thing, like, wow, the script must be fantastic. And James Gunn himself does have a rule that he would not greenlight any films that wasn't worthy for the big screen. But you have to wonder what really went wrong behind the scenes. But let's dive into the movie itself first. So Supergirl is a pretty straightforward film. It follows Kara, played by Millie Alcock, and her trusty dog Crypto. Kara is this woman who, on a red sun planet, just lives a carefree life, and she doesn't really care much about her powers. She just parties and gets drunk all the time. But then the villain Krem enters the picture. He's probably one of the most shallow and forgettable villains I've ever seen. He has no agenda, no real purpose. He just hurts people because he can. What sets our heroes on their path is when Krem arrives on Kara's planet, steals her ship, and in the process poisons Crypto with a needle. So Kara, alongside Ruthie, a young girl whose family was also killed by Krem, embarks on a journey alongside her. Kara's quest is to find Krem and get the antidote to save Crypto, while Ruthie seeks revenge for her family. And honestly, that's really the plot, and that's not even the worst part of it. We obviously have to dive into our main lead, Kara. When it comes to Kara, Millie Alcock is really doing her best with the script. There is no debate about her acting ability. We all know her from House of Dragons, which is a show that I still haven't even started. I knew I need to start that. Guilty. We all know she's talented. But here, she's just doing the bare minimum. It's not a failure on her part, it's a failure of the material that was presented to her. It doesn't have much to work with, she's just fine, and that's really disappointing. It's really a missed opportunity because I'm pretty certain that she could be an excellent Supergirl, but she never gets the chance to dive into the complexities of her character. Instead, she's one-dimensional, a quirky, carefree, almost drunk Miami girl, which I don't understand why they went in that direction. And frankly, it feels derivative of a Star-Lord knockoff. A lot of the film feels like a pale imitation of Guardians of the Galaxy, from the costume designs to the over-the-top space creatures and even the soundtrack. One good look at Kara, I mean, she's rocking the trench coat, which is, very well known with Star-Lord's character and the fact that she listens to Earth music and these old vintage music is it's like this character is just Star-Lord but with no actual depth written into it. Kara is just so heavily coded like Star-Lord, and it's a shame because they never give her a unique voice, not as a comic book character, not as a protagonist in her own right as well. The film just doesn't know how to write a compelling lead. Another character that I want to talk a little bit about was the character Ruthie, who shares the screen a lot with Supergirl. And I want to be careful here because I don't want to criticize her really because Eve Ridley is a young actor, and I think all of the actors here are victims to what they were given on this film. So unfortunately for Eve Ridley, Ruthie is probably one of the most annoying characters in this entire film. And that's really tough because her main purpose is justified. She wants to get revenge on Krem for him killing her entire family. And that's a perfectly valid motivation. But her character just gets in the way. She's constantly ranting about revenge. She has this monotone delivery that makes it very hard to care. And on top of that, there's this odd plot point where Kara stops Ruthie from killing Krem because, killing changes you. And sure, that's, it's supposed to be like a superhero moral thing to do, but it's really random. For example, Batman has a no kill rule, and that makes sense because of his backstory. But with Kara, it's just she just kind of has it, and I guess that's what makes her a hero. But then she breaks it anyway and spares Ruthie from killing Krem. I don't understand that plot point at all. Ruthie, unfortunately, is just a plot device. She never really challenges Kara and forces her to see the world differently. She just kind of keeps the plot moving by bringing her to different locations, saving Kara when she needs saving, and stuff like that. She's along for the ride, and it's a really missed opportunity. If the film had given her more depth and real arc, it definitely would have elevated this story by a lot. But as it stands, she was definitely not necessary for the film. She provides nothing in addition to this film besides driving the plot forward. We also need to talk about what kicks off Supergirl's journey to begin with, which is Crypto's poisoning at the hands of Krem. And I really want to drive this home because if this is your first time watching a DCU movie and your first time interacting with crypto, um, this is an odd place to start. One thing's for sure, nobody wants to see a dog get hurt, and sure, it's an easy emotional ploy. But before this moment, I have to question a lot of things. This film honestly does not give me a reason to care for Crypto besides the fact that he's a dog. In this film, he's just a dog, and he's used to tug at our heartstrings. But also, Kara doesn't seem like a responsible owner as well. She lives in filth, doesn't really have things organized, and puts, she puts herself in situations where Crypto could get hurt. And also, Crypto just kind of runs wild. And I know it's probably difficult to control a super dog, and it, could make for some funny comedic moments, but, you do have to think about the level of responsibility Kara has for this dog. And honestly, I can't help to feel that this is Kara's fault. It's like leaving the gate open and then being surprised when something terrible happens. Compare this to Superman, he genuinely cares, and you can feel that from the moment the film starts. You see Crypto wants to join Superman on his journey, but Superman refuses. He keeps him in the Fortress of Solitude to prevent Crypto from getting in any kind of danger. When Crypto gets abducted, you can see how desperate Superman is to getting Crypto back. In this film, it's a cheap shot. It's a shallow attempt to get us to care, but without earning that emotion. The film never gives us a real reason to be invested beyond just the dog got hurt. That's a huge problem, especially considering that is what drives the plot to begin with. When I was sitting in the theater and watching the film, I couldn't help and honestly feel concerned for DC's future and wonder what future films could look like. I really hope for the best because Clayface is coming out later this year, and from the trailers, it looks like a really great film, and it could be something that could elevate DCU's reputation when it really needs it right now. But also, I couldn't help to think, what would a Batman movie look like in this universe? And would it be entrusted to a director or a writer who truly cares? I think that's the biggest problem right now. We're coming off two incredible films with Backrooms and also Obsession. And when you look at those films and how it's created by a director that truly cares about how the film comes out in terms of the writing and the overall production of the film, and also most importantly how much of a little budget they were able to work with, how incredible those ended up turning out. And I think audience members kind of elevated their standards. I certainly have, when it came to films like this, from production teams that have endless amounts of money that can simply, and all the resources available to find a group of people that are competent enough to produce a film. And that's the thing. I couldn't help but feel frustrated. The executives and the people behind this just don't seem to care enough. And it's most evident when you look at the writer Anna Nogueira. I'm not sure if you pronounced that correctly. I don't know. I just don't understand how she landed this role. She has no qualifications for this kind of film, especially with James Gunn trying to build a brand new DC universe. And then, of course, the director Craig Gillespie, he really doesn't have a huge filmography of notable work to rely on. It just felt like they handed him the project and said, do your best. And like I said at the beginning of this video, the best way I could describe how this film turned out is by looking at the popcorn bucket. Nobody at DC paused and just think to themselves, should we rethink this? So those are my thoughts on the Supergirl movie. I'm not really going to do a full deep dive on this film. It's simply not worth it. There's nothing there for you to, I guess, I don't know what to analyze. There's nothing there for you. I don't recommend this film. I don't think it's worth your money. I think if you're gonna watch this film, just wait for it to come out on streaming and then see how it is. But trust me, from my word and from other people around you, I mean, based on the numbers that are already coming out, this film does look like it's gonna be a flop. It's gonna be an unsuccessful film, based on what the projections that have come out. Unfortunate, but I think it's well deserved. I don't think films should be rewarded when they're this horrendous. But let me know what your thoughts are. Share them down below. Please also consider leaving a like and subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy film reviews and you enjoy the content that I produce, please consider coming back for my next video. And yeah, please have a great day. Enjoy. Bye bye.